Happy Thursday. How is everybody? Hot Topics Thursdays. All right, I got to mute this. Oh, I did. Very good. Okay, I got a couple more things to do. How is everybody? I see everybody is coming together. They're mixing their drinks. Some of you may be wishing to have a little bit more to drink than others, since these are rather wild times, but rest assured, we will get through these times together because, gosh darn it, you and I, kumbaya, are a family, and we will find a way to make everything good. All right, let me see, got to open that. Okay, that is taken care of. Gonna close that out. Hope I don't end up closing you guys out. Well, let me get a good gosh look at you, everybody here. Well, hello. We're starting with Donna Steve Steffson. Hello, Donna Steffson. Well, how are you, Donna? How do you like my witchy background? I like to put this kind of thing up when I'm feeling witchy. Melody Harmon, thank you so much for your love, your support, the time you spend with me. And Pierre Walker as well, hello. Melissa Miller, hello. Thank you for your help. Thank you, thank you. Claudia Veras, Pat BWI, thank you. Joel Tilson is here. He's acting as the floor director, so he will make sure that everyone is getting their questions in. And of course, we have a lot to talk about today. So without further ado, if you could like, share, subscribe before we get started, that would be awesome. I will tell you what I am drinking, and then you can all share what you are drinking. I'm having PG Tips, the greatest tea. No, there is no better tea than PG Tips. I know the expensive teas. I've tried them all and they're nice, but let's face facts. PG Tips, it's the best. So we've got some PG Tips here, a little bit of evaporated milk, and there you go. Little bit of, you can put in a little coconut sugar, whatever floats your boat. Sorry about coughing. Today is not personal readings, but today we are going to be covering the political stuff. I think what we should do, folks, is introduce you first to the cards. Today I'll be using the Universal Rider-Waite, or is it the Radiance? It's the Universal. No, it's the Radiance. And I will also be using the Lenormand, excuse me, someone corrected me. The Gilded Reverie, I absolutely adore these. I like to use two different styles because I find, I'm sorry, something's reacting to something over here. I like to get, different perspectives from different types of cards. I also have my pendulum. So I think we're good to go. What do y'all think? Think we should do the empath prayer and just dive in? Okay, and I just wanted to say special prayers and thank you, special gratitude to the floor director, Joel Tilson. He's really good at making sure the Maine subjects get covered, and we are sending prayers to the good people of Maine. Evidently, things are not going so well in that neck of the woods. Let me see if I have it here. It appears that police have returned to the suspect's home. I don't think, yes, the name of the suspect is Robert Card. I did do a remote and I found myself going to the water. So that is common that wounded animals, if this individual is suicidal or wounded or psychologically in a dark place, they may be going to the water, to boats, hiding in an area with boats. So if you look at the direction, okay, so that makes sense because it's Maine. All right. So he would be going east, and specifically he would be going possibly southeast. 8 counts of murder. Wow. So I guess we don't know the motivation, past history of mental health issues. So we will definitely keep everybody posted as we have more information about that, and of course we will include them in our Empath prayer. Could indicate that he's hiding on a catamaran, a boat, or something like that, based on the remotes. Oh, ringworm. Clotrimazole is traditionally used. It's an antifungal. We usually don't see side effects to clotrimazole. I can just tell you that the standard of care is an antifungal use. Usually, I can't diagnose or treat legally. I can only tell you what the standard of care is for ringworm. The other thing with ringworm is that people will sometimes wash their hair with Selsun Blue or T gel relief, which contains a sulfite type of substances that kill the fungus. So people will wash their whole body with Selsun Blue, and then they'll sit in the suds for 5 minutes and wash it off, in addition to doing topical antifungals. That's the way we usually treat it. Again, I'm not diagnosing, treating. I'm simply giving general information you could find on WebMD about how it's traditionally treated. In terms of natural antifungals, I don't use them as a physician. I just go straight to what works, and I've never had a patient have side effects. Yeah. Let's do the impasse. Did we do the impasse prayer yet? We have not, right? Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, we say, Amen. Yeah, it's interesting. He's the suspect. When I go to the location of the house, I don't think he's near there. I'm trying to figure if I know he went east. I'm trying to figure out if he went northeast or southeast. It feels to me when I go into this individual's energy like I was hurt multiple times by multiple people, and there's a specific reason why I went to the bowling alley. Memories I had of the bowling alleys. Maybe I felt that I was lied to. I fell in love with the bowling alley and the lies she told me, right? I feel like I'm going back. If I were to give a profile to the FBI, I would feel like I'm going back to places that have a sentimental or emotional connection to me, and letting those people know how much they hurt me. And so he goes back to those places where perhaps he felt like he was vulnerable, or perhaps he felt like I trusted you. I thought you cared about me. And so he returns back to those places he haunted when he had that group of friends and that girlfriend or that those happier times, and a sense from this individual as I sit with him that those happier times have been taken from me. And so I'm going to take those happy times away from the people that are here now creating new memories. It's dark. It's dark, Joel. Um, I think this person is a profile of high suicide because of what I just gave, that they would be at high risk for suicide. Hey, boy, not fun. It's not fun. Not fun. Not fun. Not fun. Okay, the other thing that, and we'll go ahead and do blitzes whenever I get the order, but the other thing that people wanted to talk about is let me see if I can do this. Okay, because somebody had shown me the picture and had laughed a lot about it. Elise Stefanik giving a hug to Mike Johnson. It was her person that she had submitted, and you know, what can I tell you, people? The joys of being a heart centered remote viewer. Remember when we kept seeing the dark haired man, the King of Pentacles, entwined with the Queen of Pentacles, the King, when I had said this, who the speaker was? Who is that? Who is that woman? It must be Elise Stefanik. She's who? I think we can all see now the picture. What I love, this is the thing I love. Don't you all just love remote viewers? Come on, let's give it up to the whole team of remote viewers. It's like we got 100 remote viewers watching because some of y'all students. But you got to admit, boys and girls, come on. This stuff is a lot of fun. Come on, where's the hearts? You don't get excited when you see this stuff? See, I get very excited when I see this stuff because I think remote viewers rock. Rock the house for the remote viewers. Rock the house, don't rock the boat, baby. I don't know. But here is the thing we learn about. What do you think that this image teaches us as a remote viewer? Oh, thank you, Melody Harmon. It teaches us the power of heart-centered remote viewing and why I think that they need to be a vital part of the remote viewing community, even though we are a different branch of remote viewing. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you for that. And that is because if you look at the image of Glenn Stefanik and Johnson, you see that heart-to-heart connection. And what we do is a heart to heart connection. And so it's kind of neat when we see that attachment and then the attachment is found. Then we're able to see a photograph and say, oh, okay, now I have a physical image of the energetic image that we were picking up as remote viewers. And so, yeah, it's just a really cool part of my job, and I really like it. Okay, so without further ado, you feel the heart connection. You feel the heart connection between individuals. And so when the remote viewers and psychics went in, did Linda G and several others saw a dark haired woman around her. It was because of the heart connection that Elise felt very close to Johnson, and it was her heart pick. And in the end, her heart pick wins. And it was kind of interesting to see that picture of the heart connection between these two people. We did get an order to blitz away. Thank you, Joel. Let's go ahead and take a look at what people are talking about. So, first thing on the list, yes, we will absolutely talk about it. I had several messages from all of you regarding this next subject, and we will go ahead and blitz on it. In fact, I think you guys wanted this to be the first blitz, right? Judge defends finding of Trump for $10,000 for breaking gag order. People wanted to know if it was going to get worse for Trump, if we could talk about it. The official statement from the judge and Gorin was that anybody can run for president. I'm going to protect my staff. Y'all want to talk about it before we blitz on it? Shocking. Oh my God. Shocking, shocking, shocking. We did do the empath prayer. We've already done the empath prayer. Didn't we? Yeah, we did. Um, I think that actually Johnson, he's going to get the money through to, I think, Ukraine and also to Israel. So he's not going to shut down the government, right? In terms of Trump, I don't really know what Trump is trying to accomplish. Does anybody know what Trump is trying to accomplish? Right, Melissa. So let's take a look and just do some basic cards. I want to just do some basic cards on where Trump is headed right now with this. It's very dysfunctional, and it makes you realize how far we sunk as a country having. They say he's not mentally well. An inverted Raphael, the king, the archangel Raphael, the cup of water and healing. Raphael is part of healing is inverted. Um, I would say his main issue is he's just physically sick. You know who he kind of reminds me of? Has anybody seen the interviews of Jerry Lewis prior to his death? How angry and crippled and bitter Jerry Lewis was in his old age. Um, it's almost as if Jerry Lewis didn't care anymore. He becomes so exhausted. He doesn't care about being polite. He doesn't care about being nice to anybody. He gives up the facade of being a nice guy, right? You get old and cranky and you just let it rip, right? So I think there's a part of this is not so much a strategy with Donald Trump, so much as it is simply that he's a cantankerous old man who simply doesn't have the mental wherewithal to keep his mouth shut. You know, inverted Archangel Raphael, the message regarding healing, the healing waters, and then Six of Wands. So I don't, over the next 6 months, that feels like a deterioration to me. You know, it just feels to me like this guy is headed towards a deterioration. I think he's going to lose everything. And I think that the judge is extremely angry, inverted Queen of Swords. So the takeaway here is that this guy's in some serious trouble. But I think that in a way, if I was the judge, I would show mercy. I would gag him, but I would also take into consideration that this person needs a psych eval, and I would weigh heavily on that. And I would want to do some imaging, some brain studies on this guy, because based on what this is looking like, just to me as an observer, never mind the cards, it looks like some kind of mental health problem that's deteriorating. And so, whether you personally voted for him, whether or not you like Donald Trump or not, I think it's starting to look like this person may not be totally in control of what he's doing, in which case, what do you do with the guy? You would have to gag him, but you would also have to put him in some kind of a facility or something so that he doesn't say something that would potentially put himself or somebody else at risk. It's a really weird situation when you have a senior being charged like this who potentially may be not totally in his right mind and may, in fact, be losing his mind. When we look at what puts you at high risk, thank you, Joel. I'll go ahead and pin that. When you look at what puts a person at high risk for Alzheimer's, I know a lot of you are healthcare providers, but think about what puts you at high risk for Alzheimer's. Standard American diet, right? So, SAD diet, right? The standard American diet. So, trans fats that clog the arteries so blood doesn't get to the brain and increases your risk for stroke, anything that causes an oxygen deficit to the brain. So if your blood is fat and sludge, it's going to be a lot harder to get oxygen to the brain. Sludgy blood, right? Thick, fatty, sludgy blood, right? Obesity, the use of certain pharmaceuticals, particularly amphetamines, are associated with increased risk for certain kinds of mental health conditions, right? Concern also that he could be damaging. There's also some increased risk for some types of Parkinson's associated with some of those medications, also, right? So he's a mess. He's acting like he's a mess. Just I think that as somebody observing it, cheeseburger. I love cheeseburgers, man. The vegan ones are pretty good though. So, but yeah, he does have that. It does make you look truthfully when you look at it. Like this person may not. There may not be a strategy, folks. It may just be that he's not mentally all there enough to be in control of what comes out of his mouth. So, the Speaker of the House, I think the main thing people want to know is how will it go with the Speaker? Never too late to dream. And also, is he going to last? Is he going to be drug out on his ears like the last guy? So, I mean, we've sunk so low as a country that people would have been happy with a potted plant at this point. Uh, but let's see how it goes. I'll pull 4 cards on the speaker, how Johnson does. Oh, oh God, I'm so sorry, you guys. Oh. The first thing they're saying about Johnson is he was put in place because of special interest. In plainer words, the people that he is already bought and sold. He's owned by the money. He will do what the money tells him to do. This is Johnson. So you're in trouble when the Speaker of the House and you're looking at corruption in the House, and the first card you get on Johnson is the devil. What does that say about the integrity of this individual or the possibility that they may have been bought out by evangelical churches, etc.? But how I would read that, and I can't imagine another reader would disagree, but it suggests he's compromised. He's in bed with he is in bed with somebody. So that immediately he's got possibly, who knows. It makes you wonder. Somebody with deep pockets. Okay, you guys want to see these cards? He's in bed with somebody. This guy Johnson is in bed with somebody. Who's in bed with? The opposition, right? In a 4-card blitz, the second card is the opposition. Where he's at. Who's he in bed with? Somebody with steep pockets. Look at those pockets. I got money to burn. In bed with somebody who has steep pockets. The hope and the fear of John. It's not looking good, is it? I'm sorry. The hope and the fear, his partnerships. Remember, we've got trade deals happening, West versus East, right? So who is up against the West right now? We talked about the fact that Gaza could be East-West Berlin, right? That foreign fighters were coming in, paid for by Iran and possibly Russia. The Houthi rebels are now getting involved. It's become a big what we call a balagan, right? And Putin may be the one pouring money into it, right? So we're very nervous at this time about who's paying who to do what. Is it are you getting money from a corporation that's linked to deals in China? Say, for example, one of the lobbying groups is a company that's an American company, but it's an American company with a multi-billion-dollar interest in being based in China, in which case it's an American company with interest in China. And these are the disasters that started to happen when we opened up business with China. We started paying a foreign country hostile to the United States to do our work for us, and also bypassing US labor laws, right? Certain things you can't do, right? If you remember reading The Jungle, right? So there we are. We're in this situation of who owns this guy, and I don't like this at all. And I don't think another reader. How could you like that? That is not good. And then the partnership. So I'm not liking this. I'm not liking this. The good part about this is Archangel Michael is coming, so it could be that Johnson gets exposed. There's the race. Remember, a chariot politically is the race. So he's running a race. He's got some type of interest. He's been bought and sold. He's been bought and sold by somebody who's watching him very closely and controlling how he votes, holding the money. Could be the Koch brothers. Hopes and fears enraging somebody of passion. A mentally unstable man who's extremely passionate. He's frightened of angering an angry, passionate man. He will break with Trump. I think Trump is going to become increasingly mentally unstable, and I think it's going to cause him to break with Trump. But that shouldn't make us feel good, because the underlining lobbying groups like the family, the churches, right? We've talked about the churches and how the churches are coming up with ways to funnel church money into the pockets of lobbying groups like the Heritage Fund, et cetera. And then these churches amass massive amounts of money, which can then go to push their political agenda by going into these Citizens United funds, and but specifically by donating to think tanks, which are really lobbying groups. And so it starts to get very murky, and it starts to get very scary about just how much power some of these churches have. And we can see here with this recent Johnson speakership and the money, these deep pockets, the fact that he's got the devil there. I'm thinking this may be a reference to corruption in the churches. I'll leave the rest of you to consider. We could do another throw to see if it is church related. I just pulled the bottom card, and owie, bob, wowie, ba wowie. The church became the base of the issue. Sorry, folks, but I think this guy, he may be on the wrong side of history, darlings. What do y'all think about that? Anybody surprised? Are you afraid, as Americans, that this type of cult, these types of evangelical cults are having this kind of political power that can get nestled inside money for lobbying groups, etc.? I don't know. I don't feel good about it. This makes me very nervous. But how do we counter it? I think is the other conversation that we should be having. I mean, that freaked me out. I just went like this and pulled the base and was like, okay, we got a problem. Nobody's shocked. But how can that be legal? And yet they have found And yet they found a legal way to do just that. Um, oh, thank you. Joel was giving us a little bit of a information update on who the main killer was. Evidently, he was an Army reservist who spent 2 weeks in a psych hospital and was released. Yeah, evidently he should not have been released. This is the problem also when we don't put adequate funding into taking care of people that are mentally unwell. Oh, hi, Tati Gem. Thanks for being here. So, do you guys think that Trump wants chaos to hurt Biden? Good point being mentioned here by Joel Tilson. Is, you know, definitely he's an agent of chaos. He's definitely an agent of chaos. And sometimes you think that all he was hired to do was to be running around creating chaos and getting people to laugh while they did all kinds of crazy things. I mean, it was pretty, when they left the White House, evidently, it was a bit of a disaster. So, so a lot of people think that Trump wants jail. Like I had felt when I went into those cards, it seemed like it was a lot less deliberate than that. He really did remind me of Jerry Lewis towards the end of Jerry Lewis's life, where he was just crippled and unhappy and cranky and yelling at everybody. And you think, oh, were you always a jerk? You just faked it before, and now are we seeing the real Jerry Lewis? I mean, what is this? Um, but that's kind of what Trump feels like to me as a remote viewer when I go into this. I feel angry. I feel pissed off. I feel like all the people I helped betrayed me. I feel like I'm an old man that's alone. My own daughter won't take my phone calls. And I feel it's made me so angry and bitter that it's causing me to laugh. I don't think it's quite as metaphysical as people think it is. Or, uh, it's the, Joel Tilson, the rubber room for Donald Trump. Some readers have felt that that's where he's headed. And to be quite frank with you, do you really think he's faking it? I mean, let's take a look at this next question on Johnson to see if he is headed towards being indicted January 6th. With those cards, Joel, it makes me very nervous about him. But I'll go ahead and I'll use the Lenormand and see if the Lenormand have more insight about him, if he's going to be charged. Something is coming, something big. And people know that the Justice Department is um, that something's coming. Let me show you the cards. Something bad is coming. If you were in any way part of January 6th, something very, 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 very bad is coming. Okay, so let me show you the cards. The stork, right? So the stork is like a birth. Something's coming, something's about to be birthed, something's about to go down. And then we see the clock tick tock, tick tock. So something's going to be birthed. It's happening soon. I think if you're a member of the GOP House, you've got to know this. I think you've got to know that something's about to go down. I just feel like something's about to go down. And then pulling from the well, getting more information. So when I go into this energy, something's birthed, it's due to be birthed. They're pulling from the well. It's a roll of the dice. The fact that it's a roll of the dice leads me to think that if you got deposed to speak to anybody at the Justice Department, Merrick Garland, or to speak to Jack Smith regarding this investigation, more than likely your response would be, more than likely they told you to not tell anybody that you had talked with us. You don't have, if you want to tell people you spoke with us, it seems to me like they don't want anybody to discuss the nature of what happened when they were deposed, or if they had to speak to a grand jury, like in the case of Meadows, when we did the remote on Meadows, and it looked like he was working with the feds, so he did that so that he would get immunity, right? In the case of the state, right? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, um, because you're not allowed to walk out of a private, if you were deposed or if you were part of a grand jury questioning, you have to agree to keep your mouth shut about certain things. And so, what's happened energetically when you go into this is that people in the house are frantically trying to find out what happened. And the main spy is Jim Jordan. He's going to find out everybody who went in and spoke to the feds, and he's going to find out what you said to them, how you said it, and he's going to make your life hell, and he's going to out you. So, in that sense, Jim Jordan is very dangerous. But the final outcome here, and this is why I think they should be very nervous, is the whip. And that's to crack the whip. And uh, even if Johnson is not personally charged, I do think with these cards looking the way that they are, it feels to me like something is coming, like a birth. It's imminent. Uh, the fact that still going to the well leads me to suspect that they are still gathering information. Again, like a pregnancy, something is coming. It has a timestamp on it. They're still drawing from the well. It's a throw of the dice who they will charge. That's how people are feeling. Well, they can't even go to one another and say, well, did you speak to so and so? Well, Jim Jordan's going around and saying that he knows that you spoke to Jack, and he knows what you said because he's got people on the inside that told him ABC. It's a very ugly, ugly environment, and that is what I think the Two of Pentacles, or the roll of the dice, is about. A feeling of people genuinely don't know who's going to be charged. I think that as many people as they can charge, they will charge, because the crack of the whip is not one of mercy. It's really to really hit the person hard, and fairly soon, I would suspect, with that type of card juxtaposition. Thank you, Sharon Kuhn, for that lovely donation. Much appreciated. Thanks for being here. We are waiting for that whip to crack. All right. So Dwight Lindgren, hi, Dwight, wants to know if the new speaker will lead the MAGA group to pass project budget by special interest, not a continuing resolution. New speaker will lead to the MAGA group to pass project budget by special interest, not by continuing resolution. Well, the churches that are pro-Israel are going to fund Israel, but Russia is not pro-Israel because Russia is with Iran. So if you're looking at the war, how they're setting it up, East versus West, it's Russia, China, Iran, and Syria, and some African countries going with China and Russia, and some foreign fighters going in and joining with Russia. And then the United States, the West is NATO, the United States, Israel. And the fear and the concern is that Gaza will turn into East-West Berlin, and that it becomes a place where it just becomes a military zone. It becomes a hot zone where nobody can live, and it's just patrolled by security forces. In which case, where what will they do with civilians? But if it continues to increase like this in that area, it's very likely that everyone will have to leave the area except for security personnel, just because of these foreign fighters that are flooding into the Sinai. All right, let's see here about the special interest with the new speaker and MAGA. Yes, it's so interesting that they keep using similar imagery, Dwight. The first cards we used the Radiance deck, and we got the Devil. We now use the Lenormand deck, and we're using the Gilded Reverie. So instead of the Devil, they use the Seductress. So we find ourselves literally in the same situation, using the same imagery of people having been seduced and who has the money. And the other thing that you see a lot with this, as I had said before, is the mice, the gossiping. People scurrying about trying to find who sold who out, who's making deals, like in the case of Meadows getting immunity. And again, here, the hammer and sickle, the sickle coming down, the death nail coming down. The other thing is that I feel like there's an investigation happening in the House. That's an additional investigation on top of the previous investigations. So even though could see some charges for January 6th, we see charges for other cases of financial bribery, corruption, etc., possibly happening. We can see here the what are these called? The looking glass. What are these called? I always forget what these are called. They make things larger. Would indicate that there's another investigation. So, in plainer words, how the Justice Department, they've been exposing people who took money in both the House and the Senate, and it's on both sides, Republicans and Democrats. And so a lot of that stuff is starting to come out now. And it has to do with these investigations into bribery that were started under the Obama administration. I believe it was in 2010. Is that correct? He talked about it a little bit in his book, 2010, 2011. So the takeaway, it's a friend of mine. Hello, Joel. So the takeaway is that these investigations into bribes that were going on, we've talked about those for a couple of years now. That investigation went on for quite a while. Magnifying glass. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you, Joel. Yeah. So let's see. Let's see if we can get a peacekeeping group to come in and stop the crazy, or if it's just going to continue. Let's just see where it goes. Peacekeeping group. There's a mountain to climb, so it's going to be very, very difficult to get to peace. First card is the mountain. Reminds me of that song. You guys know that song? Gonna build a mountain, gonna build it high, gonna build a mountain. Don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I know I'm gonna do it somehow. Okay. It's just not a place that's fit for human beings. I really think they're probably going to have to, I think they are going to have to be relocated to the Sinai until the area is clear because of these cards. I'll go ahead and show you. You have the mountain that has to be crossed before the area is safe. The opposition is this strong masculine energy. So I feel like the two sides, I feel like the battle will continue. But what's interesting is that there could be attempts. Conversation is happening. Like some of the Qatar has been negotiating the release. You've got this mice or possible communication happening. My concern here is that the final outcome is the owl, which is the harbinger of death. When you hear the owl call your name, so it tends to indicate that this is a place that's more a place of death or a place of a darkness at this time. In future, this is the time of darkness, but in time, it will be a beautiful, safe world. But right now, it's like the bad people, ISIS and the bad people go away. And then once the darkness happens, you have the good luck. The lucky fairy comes. So it's something that it will go through a dark period, and then there will come a time of rebuild, and then the clover comes. So it does become an area of peace. I believe Saudi is part of the West. They are signing with Israel, and that was part of why Russia was angry, and they believe that that was he may have not participated directly, but there's a couple different theories about Russia. Number one, he claimed he knew about the hit prior to it happening. So at the very least, if he's a friend of Israel, you would think that he would have warned that Russia, which supposedly Putin had this great relationship with Netanyahu. So theoretically, if you know a bunch of terrorists are going to parachute into a peace conf- concert and kill a bunch of people, you would, at the very least, notify your friends, hey, you'd better be ready. That's the first problem. The second problem, unless he's lying and he's just pretending he knew so that he can pretend he knows everything, but he is close with Iran, and Iran and China and Syria are his allies. So, at the very least, he didn't warn us. At the very worst, he himself was involved. And that is the concern. The concern is that he was involved and that he's angry because Saudi Arabia signed with the West. So it's that Saudi Arabia got the contract. Saudi Arabia's got this great, rich contract between Israel and the United States, and they get the money, and we can continue to blockade, and you won't be able to have trade routes into Africa, and we'll continue to block you financially. We can imagine how infuriated they are. So he's going to go and build another trade route. He's going to carve into this area and carve into that area and go around here if you don't let him. And thus we find ourselves where we are, right? This constant battle. And it's all this primal wound of everyone feeling like I'm going to have my rice bowl, right? I better get me some rice for my rice bowl, right? Or bread for my bread bowl or whatever. And everyone concerned that they're not going to be included. And it's very scary what's happening with trade routes right now because it's become increasingly aggressive. If you just look at the trade routes that are being formed between the Bering Strait and Russia and China, and what's going on, the Pacific, the Bering Strait, what's going on with Russia's influence in South America, it makes you wonder if we ourselves are not going to be trapped. Like we see what's going on in the Middle East, so that we wind up surrounded by Russia, China, etc., because of these trade where we're boxed in. It's something to think about. All right, we got time for a couple more questions before we close today. Will Saudi Arabia be part of the peacekeeping troop? I would imagine so, yeah. I just feel like what I said before is that I get where America's coming from. We don't have a way of we don't have an ability to have a trade partnership with Russia because Russia does not have leadership that we can do business with. That's the State Department official. You've got to have somebody in leadership coming to the table that we can negotiate with. And at this time, they've got Putin. So he's not somebody we can do business with. He's a psychopath. So that's the State Department argument. And I think it's a legitimate argument. Well, look at you look at Putin and how Putin responded to Hillary out of the State Department, right? And you use that as you take a look at that and the fact that we really did sabotage Russia's relationship with Libya, right? Trade with Libya to build their infrastructure, etc. So there's a lot of hard feelings there in terms of whether or not we will be able through the international community and through international trade to work this out. Not until the sanctions won't be lifted until they have new leadership. That's the conclusion. We have to have, um, I feel like America wants to reach out and does want to do trade with some of these countries. But you don't have stable governments. You don't have. It actually presents, much to my surprise, that the United States has tried multiple times to work with some of these countries. That makes sense also because if you look at it objectively, even though some of us may have been horrified by Donald Trump, he did reach across the aisle with North Korea. So from America's foreign policy perspective, if you look at these cards and say, what is America's foreign policy regarding all of this in competition with trade and America being demonized, you actually look at it from America's perspective, and America is trying everything to have stable trade. But the bottom line is that America doesn't feel that leadership of these countries is stable. I mean, here and then you just have complete chaos and corruption from the opposition. And again, here the United States attempting to create some stability, and then final outcome is hermit. So they're always look. It's you get the impression that the State Department under Biden, that they're constantly looking for ways to resolve trade, to strengthen trade partnership, to resolve conflicts regarding trade. This is not an aggressive energy at all towards China and Russia. I really believe Biden when Biden says that he does not want hostilities with China. He does not want hostilities with Russia. He doesn't want this to blow up into World War III because of these trade route things that are going on. And instead, but you have so much heat also in these cards. I mean, these cards are so damn hot. I mean, this is the War King. This is the Mars King. And I just going in victory with battle. I just feel like everybody needs to calm down. Like, where's Will? What's his name? Wilhoff or whatever in Amsterdam, or no, in Holland. He throws everybody in ice to cool them down. Wim Hof. He does ice therapy. Yes, to help people with mental health problems. I feel like this is just too, I just feel so much heat. I just feel so, it's just, wands, right? So Chinese medicine has a relationship with the cards. Y'all know that, right? So in Chinese medicine, this is the wood element and the fire element because fire burns, wood burns fire. Wood feeds fire, right? In Chinese medicine. And not surprisingly, the wood element in the cards is fire. So it's ruled by like Mars and Aries and the fire signs. Wim Hof, yeah. So I just I just feel like there's so much heat over the Middle East, and you have the U.S. Their cards. When you think about like the U.S. in relationship to all of this, their cards are so strong. Like It's all about finding information, being stable, looking for solutions. Also, the other thing about the US is Six of Cups, which again is a desire to reach across the aisle. So I actually don't know why everybody thinks America's totally out. I don't know why Putin thinks that America's totally out to squeeze out Russia or interested in squeezing out China, because when you look at the cards, that's not the case. That's not the case at all. You just have to create a stable government that we can do business with. And so I'm very surprised at those cards, which it would and it makes sense because uh, we did have some good trade with these countries, right? Yeah, Joel. Pluto's aspect creating havoc. There are some really amazing astrologers out there. Andre, is that his name? I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but I'm not an astrologer, but I do feel the energy, and I think everybody else does as well, where you do hope that uh, uh, cooler heads will prevail. Here's another question that's coming in, and a lot of people have been talking about this as well, is, will the PLO, the PLA, the Palestinian Liberation Organization's army, known as the PLA, come in? There's now been some fighting. Hamas is fighting for control of the West Bank, and Fatah, of course, is in control of the West Bank. The Israelis did a series of attacks. I think something like 50 Hamas leadership persons were taken out on the West Bank. So it would appear that there's coordination between the PLA and the Israelis, and that would be cool because it would mean that it wouldn't be great if we all worked together to get rid of these wingnuts, right? So let's take a look. Good question, Joel. Thank you. Future of the PLA and Israel. Dual security. Yes, see, that's what we need. A more perfect union. See, Joel's got it right. He got it right. That, and probably made a good pot roast as well, right? What'd you make today? Joel is the cook in the group. All right, let's see. Yes, the answer is yes. They will work together. Lovers. Israel and Palestinian Authority will work together to throw out Hamas. I hear y'all applauding. That's good. The other they have opposition with, which is Hamas. They are being tormented, the bombings, etc. So basically, they squeezed out Hamas. Israel reached across the aisle to moderates and PLA and are working together. And probably PLA was spying on Hamas in West Bank territories, and that's how they were able to handle the raids. You can see here fighting for territory. Always, again, Seven of Wands has to do with a wand is always territorial. Also, there's always a territorial aspect to wands. And then the final outcome is an inverted devil, which means that together the Palestinians and the Israelis will kick out the bad people. Yes. So peace and prosperity reigns. Hopefully sooner rather than later. The big scare that everybody feels more than, I mean, like, the immediate thing is the spooky with all of that with Hamas, but Hezbollah is a much scarier. You look at their full blown. That's basically the Iranian army. Very scary. Oh, look, Joel Tilson has made a lovely meal: turkey, chili dogs. Oh, well, I could have that. I eat turkey occasionally. Turkey chili dogs, yummy, yum, yum. And homemade oven baked steak fries. Oh my God, that sounds so good. You know what also is vegan and tastes really good is you can do the vegan hot dogs on a bun, and you can do Amy's beans or some other beans. That's so good. I love beans and franks. And if it's with a soy dog, it's vegan. So it's just really tasty. I got into that when I lived in England. Yeah, I got into Heinz baked beans. They're way too sweet in the United States, so I go with another brand usually. I just I wish they would just make it the same that they make it in England because it's really good there. Yeah, HP sauce, all of that. I wish that they would just stick to the. I don't know why they make things different for the Americans. Just make it the way you make it, right? All right, love and light to you all. Thank you everybody for hanging out for me with me. Again, if you have not shared, liked, and subscribed, please think about doing so. Also, please think also about becoming a member. Just a great way to support the channel and get together with us on the weekends, getting readings. We do offer free readings to people if you're members, and also classes at the Elders and Empaths level if you'd like to be a student of HCRV. Last I want to mention is we are reading the book. But does anybody remember the name of the book? I can't remember. It's in my bed somewhere. The Call of the Cards by Heather uh, by Hardison. By Heather Hardison. Thank you. I will. I need to have my dinner. Heather Hardison. Yes, we're reading her book, The Call of the Cards. Hopefully, you have all gotten a copy and you're enjoying our Book of the Month Club. We're getting together for a Halloween party, 6 p.m. the 31st with Chuck. You can wear costumes or not. And we'll be talking to Heather Hardison about her book, and hopefully you'll all want to pitch in and give your opinion as well. All right, we're out of here. Be kind to all so that all can be kind to you as well. Thank you so much, Joel Tilson, Melody Harmon, and everybody else. If I didn't see your name, let's see. Melissa, Melody, all of you. Thank you so much. And I'll see you next time. Be well. Geocosmic.